Oos, Sensei here, back with another video. Today I'm doing a boxing tier list. Jasper actually convinced me to do this. I was thinking of doing like a top 5, like ranking the top 5 once. Let me know if you want me to do a top 5 or like a top 10. I don't know why. I don't know why I was like not up for the tier list. I guess the funny parts of the tier list video are the people talking smack and talking trash about people. So I wasn't all about that. But I figured out a cool way to do this, and I got some cool names on there. So I put a bunch of people on there, some people that you probably think shouldn't be on there. I don't know, I felt like I just put as many people as possible. I didn't use a lot of the people from the first undercard fight. I'm trying to put people on there who I think could fight like right now, right? Who would be relevant enough in terms of they still kept up with boxing or they're still talking about fighting. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to hop on a card right now. So I try to use people. Also, I didn't just do it based purely off skill because it is YouTube boxing, so the influencer aspect is part of it, right? The entertainment aspect is part of it, and the name, the shock value is part of it. So do it. All right, I'm just gonna go in the order that I have it. Whatever. The first two aren't even people that were like the random people that I put in. One, we got Bryce Hall. Now, because Bryce and the TikTokers did like they had the hype house and they had like the YouTube thing, and they were in talks of Gib put a video of him potentially fighting Bryce, so he's someone that we have to look at, right, as a potential boxer. He looks like he's in shape. There's a little clip here. There's a little clip here of him boxing, hitting the pads. So let's take a look at it. Not the best quality, but he doesn't look like really bad. You know what I mean? On the pads, he's quick. He's got some pop to his punches. He's got some pop. He looks pretty quick on his feet, you know. It's not too... All right, so where would I put... Journeyman, by the way. Journeyman, the idea of a journeyman is someone who gets paid to get beat up, right? They're not someone who's going to be competitive. They're there because the other person is popular, and they're there just to be a person on the card to get beat up for the main attraction. I would put him at amateur, right? He hasn't had any amateur fights that we know of. So I got to put him at amateur. But he has some potential. If he like gets a nice win or something, he can shoot a right to pro to co-main. Right to co-main because he's so popular, right? This girl, I saw her hit pads, and I'm like, we need to get her on a card. I was looking at just female influencers, YouTubers who hit pads, who box or did something. But this girl right here, Demi Bagby, look. Right, look at that, right? She can hit hard now. She's athletic. But she's someone, if she gets in there, I don't know who else in terms of like other influencers, right? The other people that are potentially could get in there. She, I feel like, would crack them. If she lands one solid punch, they're gonna be in trouble. All right, I feel like I want to put her pro because again, I have to compare them just based off what I've seen. So because of her athleticism and she's an athlete already, I'm gonna put her in the pro category. Josh Bruckner. Josh he's an MMA fighter, but he's also a YouTuber. But he's someone that could box Logan. He's someone who could box Jake. He based off their weight and their size. And I think he matches up perfectly in terms of the amount of training he's been doing. And you look at like where Jake and Logan are at, he mixes in perfect. The hard part is because he's not a part of the community, he's the only person besides him. It's him, Gib, Jake, and Logan and KSI, who are the only people who have fought in terms of the influencers at that level in terms of a pro card. So I'd have to put him, I'm going to put him at co-main, right? Because I think he could be a co-main event because you can put him against any influencer at that top tier level. Swingler. All right, he had that fight against Gib. It was super competitive. That was a great fight. And he just looks like someone who can box. I'm not sure if he's looking to box now, but he's someone who can box, right? He can fight. He can throw hands. He's not completely bad. I feel like if he trains, he could do it. But I'm going to put him at amateur just because he did not fight again. He hasn't fought pro yet. I got to put him at the amateur level. Rockarrakka. All right, here we go. So that fight was super entertaining, man. That was so intense. But he did fight, I think it was Scarce, who you got to look at their opponents when you look at this. And Scarce lost 100 pounds. And, man, he got in shape. He changed his life, his health forever, which is amazing. But he got beat up bad. His nose was absolutely destroyed. Rockarrakka has not. You have to be very careful for who you put him with, right? If you had trouble putting him away, Scarce away, who could you put him with? But he did fight though. But I feel like it depends who you're gonna put him with. But he did win, so I gotta put him at the amateur level. He's close, but I gotta put him at amateur. All right, now we got Tayler Holder. Tayler, I was surprised. I thought Bryce had more experience. I didn't really know too much, but I started looking into it. But Tayler actually looks pretty good hitting pads. Here's a little clip of him hitting pads. Again, you can't get too much from hitting pads, but I like his stance, and he's quick, he's fast, he's clearly strong. He hits hard. So some people, they look like super, like he looks better here than Nate does. I don't know about him sparring. That's a pretty good. He's not over exaggerating the slip and roll. The uppercut, his hand placement is good. It looks like he's been hitting pads for a while. So this kid I think he can throw hands. He looks athletic. And because of his notoriety, I feel like I'm gonna put him in. I can't put him in pro yet. I still gotta put him in amateur because I gotta see him fight still. He hasn't fought yet. All right, here we go. Slim. All right, so now this gets tricky. Experience matters. Whatever you competed in matters. So where would I put Slim? Slim fought in the Fousey undercard, and he had a really good. Not the Fousey undercard. I'm talking about. Sorry, he fought Fousey. It's all coming back to me now. He looked good though when he landed the jab. His footwork was good. So I gotta see Slim fight another person. I'm gonna put him at amateur still. When it really matters to opponent, I feel like he'd be. Man, I gotta still put him at amateur just because I've only seen him at one opponent. But he's got a lot. He's got some potential. To me, he's like right up there in terms of potential of who's gonna fight. Now we got Fousey. Oh boy. I got to put Fousey in Journeyman just because, he's got all the heart. It's not like a knock in terms of it's not like he gave up and stuff like that. But in terms of just boxing, when it comes to footwork and distance management and that awareness, it's just something that he had trouble with. And if you do that, you have trouble with that and you go out there and you go to compete, it's going to be bad, right? You're not going to be aware of the distance. And he's somebody that if you want to go out and fight again, you can put him against another journeyman in terms of someone who doesn't know how to, who's new at fighting. But I just feel like I got to put him there because of how rough that fight went. Alex Wassabi. Okay, now he got knocked out by Fousey, but he actually did look pretty good on the pads at times. But defense matters. As you saw with Nate Robinson looked pretty, but if you don't have defense, it's going to be a quick night. And he doesn't look like he likes getting hit in the pocket. So I got to put him also in the journeyman, that if he competed, maybe they can fight each other. See, that's what I'm saying? It makes sense that they could fight each other. All right, here we go. Deji. Where do we put Deji? Oof. I'm going to put Deji in pro. Deji's definitely in pro. He gave Jake his toughest fight, right? He was his toughest opponent. Deji has potential to move up to that co-main, even legend status, if he gets himself in shape to compete. All right, Jake. Oh, Jake, where do we put him? Clearly he has to go in legend, but I was tempted to put him in co-main for only one reason. Not because of how he looked, because his skill-wise, I think, and based on how he looks, he's up there in legend in terms of, in terms of the popularity, he's bringing so much, eyes to the sport, not just the sport of boxing. But the only reason I say co-main is because of his level of competition, right? His level of competition. Clearly, he hasn't fought anybody who he thought could actually hurt him, or he's never been in trouble in any of the fights. But again, it's not really his fault. So he's got to go to that top tier. He's fought at the highest level in YouTube boxing, right? Of all the YouTubers, he's fought at the highest level and on the biggest stage. Logan. Journeyman, he's lost. I'm just kidding. That's crazy. No, he's also a legend. You have to look at competition too. Yes, Logan hasn't won and he has a draw, but he's only fought KSI, right? If you put Logan with any other person, right, besides Josh Bruckner, who I think can go to town with him, he beats everybody, right? Does he knock out Gib? Yes, they probably don't even compete because of how much bigger Logan is, right? Does he knock out Deji? Does he beat Deji? Yes, huge size advantage. Right? Nate Robinson, what would Logan have done to Nate? I think it would have been the same thing, right? So it's not like, even though Logan has a losing record, he's only competed against one person. So when we see Jake versus KSI, we'll get a true test of where Jake is at, right? But Logan, clearly, he's fought at the highest level. He's in great shape, and I have no doubt. JMX. Ooh. See, JMX could go. He's between co-main and pro because this is just boxing. He did have the MMA fight where he beat the heck out of that guy. And he looked really good in his boxing match. I know he has that shoulder injury, but we haven't seen him box since that fight, right? You know, he hasn't fought at the next tier level, but I think he can go co-main, but I'm going to put him at pro just because he's only fought on the undercard as an amateur. I'm really tempted to put him in co-main. I feel like in his next fight, he could be a co-main. Oh boy, Dixie. So Dixie and Addison I put on there because they did box each other and they did have their match. So I'm like, I gotta put them on here, in terms of their level. But this video, I almost did a reaction video to this one time, and I think I started recording it and then I just stopped. I thought I uploaded it, but I didn't. Addison, there was some pop there. She looked a little bit sharper than Dixie. So Dixie, but again, you see, I train people. I'll see people a lot of times like day one. And she doesn't look that bad day one. A lot of people day one haven't hit pads at all. That's what it's going to look like. So again, not too bad. You know what I mean? But you have to compare the female influencers with each other. How would she do against other female influencers, right? Other Instagram, TikTokers who are popular, who are within that same community. You know, she's got the reach. But I got to put her... I'm going to put her in amateur, right? She did not look terrible. All right, Overflow, my opponent, I put him out there, and he's still been in talks for fights. That's why I put him in here. We had our fight, but also he's still been in talks. Potentially, was trying to take my place on the undercard and out there. So he is game. I'm gonna put him at amateur level because if you look at he has some martial arts experience, and he's been training boxing, and he's only competed against me. So you can't just take that competition at face value. You have to look at how would he do against other people, So your competition matters. So I put him right there at that amateur level. Joe Weller. This is tricky. I'm going to put him at pro. Main reason is, look at it. He did lose his fight, but look, and he didn't get a chance to showcase himself, but look who he competed against, KSI. And KSI, yes, he wasn't at his peak, but KSI has not lost, right? And then he went and beat Logan. So what does that say about JJ? He's won a heck of a game competitor. He's a dog. He's an athlete. He's gonna push you in terms of he's gonna come in shape. He changed his body completely just for that Joe Weller fight. So I think Joe has some potential. Yes, we saw him spar Jake, but he hasn't been boxing at all. Then he goes and spars Jake, who's been clearly training. He's been knocking out his opponents. So we haven't seen Joe against Deji, against other people who are fighting. And I think he could fight against Slim or against Deji or Gib, people like that. I think he can fall right. Bryce Hall, like that whole category. I think he 100%. Adam Saleh. Okay, this one's also tricky because he's someone who has boxing experience. Obviously, he was younger then, but he clearly knows how to box. He's been in the game. He knows how to, spar. Again, people look at Adam and they knock him a bit. I think because of his size, right? He's smaller. If Adam had the same skill, but he was 6'2", or like 6 feet, 190 pounds, like the size of Jake, I think people would be saying things differently because I think people feel like, oh, he can't knock me out because he's smaller. But as someone who's into combat sports, you got to look at things pound for pound, right? You look at that, Adam, I have to put in co-main. He has experience, boom. But like in terms of experience, he should be in like legend. You know what I mean? He can compete with this tier of people, and so can Josh. But in terms of their experience and their notoriety, in terms of what they fought on, I gotta put him at co-main. All right, JJ, KSI. This is self-explanatory. Obviously, legend. He beat Logan. Those three guys to me stand alone in terms of YouTube boxing. They fought at the highest level, pro. They got themselves in tremendous shape. They went to full pro camps, training with top tier trainers, the whole thing, right? Logan didn't win, but he had a draw, and there was a controversial decision on the rematch, right? The cardio machine, okay? I put him at co-main, right? He was already a co-main guy. He fought Jake. Again, it's tough because you look at his competition. He fought Jake. Jake had the upper hand, but he brought that fight to Jake, so Jake took it. But I would like to see Gib. But Gib, see, Gibbs' ability, though, I put him around. I like him with JMX and Joe and Deji. But the thing is, Gib did put in the work. He did a pro camp. He got in shape. He trained like a madman to be able to perform in that level. So Addison. Ooh, Addison, remember, she was hitting pads. She looked strong. She looked strong. And based on what I've seen, you know, she beat Dixie in their little like body punches sparring match. I still gotta put her at amateur. She looks stronger, but she's a little bit bigger. You know, she's got a little bit more, you know, body mass on her than Dixie. So I feel like that mattered. All right, Face Sensei. Where do I put myself? Do I put myself as a legend? No, obviously not. Why? I have. Oh no, no. I'm gonna put myself in the co-main. I don't put myself in legend. Just because obviously my name's been involved in the YouTube boxing. Obviously I won in terms of the YouTube boxing. I won, but it was against Overflow, who doesn't have a lot of experience, so that doesn't give me a lot of brownie points. Yes, I performed well, but I have not performed at the same level as Gib in terms of like the pro. I haven't done a pro, you know, YouTube boxing. I've done a pro kickboxing fight on my own, and I've also done MMA with no headgear and all that stuff. It was amateur, but again, there was no shin guards and stuff like that, so it's pretty close to it. So I put myself at co-main because if I were to fight, obviously, who am I planning to fight? Jake or, you know, Adam or Josh Bruckner? It's the same people. But I feel like me, Adam, and Josh, if we get a big fight and we do well, we'll bump right up in there to the legend status. It's tricky, though, but I can't put myself up there yet. I have not done what these guys have done. Let me know if I missed anybody. I feel like I missed people to put on here. I don't know. I just feel like I was trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody. But let me know what you think in terms of this tier list. Where would you put certain people? Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? All right. Leave a like and subscribe. Oos.